I've made progress since we last stopped the last webinar on this. I worked for at least a day, maybe two on this, and I did a couple things. One is I implemented undo and redo with regards to the selection. Number two is I changed the default shortcut keys from the ones we had before because I like the new ones better. Okay. Number three, this is a big one, I created a multi-select services, and I've created this in anticipation of moving this into this service into the core. I also created a class called CodeRush placeholder, and if we tab through this, here we go, hold on, there we go. So we go in here, you can see back here in
I don't know, whatever else it's seeing. I'm seeing perhaps a different screen than you think I am because there's no studio. I can see 2 copies of Chrome.
Oh, great. Hold on a second. Let's definitely fix that. I changed my main monitor, and in doing so, it said, I guess monitor 2 became monitor 3, so monitor 1. Oh, no. Oh, I hate this so much. We're going to have to restart. This is super lame. Yeah, we're going to have to restart because apparently changing, well, let me see if I change my main monitor back. If it will.
Just before the webinar started, we were seeing your other monitor. It was only when you left and came back in that it changed.
Yeah, GoToMeeting does not handle changes in display res after it started. Okay, do you see Visual Studio now?
I do now, yeah.
All right, the main problem is this is now my main screen. So if anybody IMs me, controversial messages like Miller, you're fired again, it's going to show up right in the middle. It'll be so embarrassing. So at any rate, we'll go with this. So okay, so so thanks Rory for interrupting me, and that's why this is not a one-man show. This is one of many thousands of reasons why Rory is here. So okay, so I created a this CodeRush placeholder piece right here, and then like I was saying, if we tab through this, you can see where we use it. Basically, just going in, and so in this call to copy to clipboard. This is inside multi-select. We see CodeRush placeholder.multi-select copy to clipboard. We pass this in. Not a big deal.
Structurally, your CodeRush placeholder is effectively like the CodeRush dot that we might see when we've got the full version and it's integrated into the DX core.
Right. So when we go to 11.2, what we'll do is we'll replace CodeRush placeholder with just CodeRush.
Sure.
And then multi-select will be a full I can't think of the right word here, but basically it'll be I want to say a full-featured feature, but it'll be right up. It'll be right up there.
Multi-select will become a service level piece of functionality that you can call on from many different plugins.
Yes, exactly. And I think this is going to be good because I think I can see this being useful in more than just the context that we're talking about here. This idea of being able to go through and have an intelligent selection that spans multiple items is I think better than what we have so far. So so we've got these calls to multi-select out here. So you've got redo and undo. All of these out here. What that ends up doing is it ends up simplifying the plugin one.cs, and this really is a reflection of I think to some degree how development works here at on the CodeRush team at DevExpress. So for example, we create some functionality. We realize the functionality is useful elsewhere. Then we push it down into the core. Well, in this webinar, we don't have access to the core source code. So what I'm doing instead is I'm doing what sometimes I would do in the past, where I would say, okay, I would, let's create a placeholder, and then we'll fix this once the timing is right, and to move this down into the core, which for all of it, for everybody is going to be when 11.2 ships. Okay, so I've got this multi-select services which we're accessing through the CodeRush placeholder. And as a result, a lot of the logic here goes in here now, and it's all inside of this. So we've got copy to clipboard, cut to clipboard, all of these pieces are inside of here. I've also made a few modifications to multi-select. I've added a wasCut property. So now when we bring this out of the clipboard, we'll know if it was cut or if it was copied. And this may be useful if we are going to, for example, cut and then paste right back into the exact same class. Well,
Sure.
if we cut it, it's okay to paste it back in, because then maybe we want to do an integrated paste, which I think I alluded to last time, which is let's take the pieces and break them apart, paste them in the right spots. Okay, but if it was copied, then we don't want to do that, because then it should not be available. So that's kind of what I'm anticipating here with this was cut piece. So that change was there. Partial selection, I made just a couple minor changes. I added indexed and generated. Generated is going to be for, we'll use this later today, and this is basically what's, if we want to access the pieces of the partial select, we want to access the partial selection, but one of the pieces of it is element type. So it tells us what the element is, the type of that element. Well, let's say we say, well, we want to grab all the methods, so we grab all the methods to generate them. We want to flag them as generated, so later on when we want to grab everything that we haven't grabbed yet, we're going to look for when generated is not true. And so that's what's going on there with this. We tap through this. I've got a method called prepared to generate that sets it false to everything. And then we have an enumerator implementer, and it's move next. Checks to see if the language type, so basically in the constructor for this, we ask for a language type. So we can basically say, look, for the multi-select, I want to get all the methods, all the properties, whatever those are. It's going to go through those, and it's going to say, well, okay, if the type you've specified in the filter is unknown, then we're going to say grab anything that has not been generated yet. Okay. Otherwise, we can grab variables and things like that. I also have some code here that says if we specify the element type as a variable, then we're going to make that also equivalent to initialized variable. If the element type is initialized variable, we'll make that equivalent to variable. So you can specify either one of these and you'll get both.
Okay. So far, what you've given us there, we can naturally iterate through various pieces of code in your solution already, so at various levels, solution, project, inside methods, and what have you. What you're giving us there is a way of iterating through the items that have currently been selected, and indeed, in some cases, the methods that they are within. Yes. Because people don't necessarily realize that although it is very much what it says, it's multi-select, the fact that you can then go cut, copy, and paste afterwards is almost incidental, because you might be selecting pieces for some completely unknown piece of functionality which another plugin is going to provide. That's what very important for the service.
Right. We talked about this for refactoring, for example. A simple example would be extract interface. Right, to go through and very quickly select the members you're interested in and then choose extract interface on just those members. Right now, extract interface pulls out all the public members, and then you can then proceed to delete the ones you don't want. This would be the opposite of that, where you select in advance. Inside multi-select, I've added just a few properties that I thought might be useful. We're probably not going to use these today, but they're here. All fields, all methods, all properties, all events, all nested types, all delegates, all enums, all consts. And all it's doing is it's generating a new multi-select enumerator, passing in the language type we're interested in. Okay?
Yeah.
So, those are the changes. So let's go, let's run it before we make any more changes, just to make sure this is working, and just kind of remind you, I did one other thing, and I created a fix for that cosmetic selection bug that we saw last time. So, so for folks seeing this the first time, just I won't be able to duplicate it because I've got an actual fix for it. But let's see, object initializer test. But the bug was basically that it would it wouldn't draw a selection correctly if it existed something like this, for example. It would have this weird odd indent in it.
I think the selection would exclude the white space on the left-hand side. Or there was another one as well it would highlight another piece of white space which wasn't strictly needed.
So what I did, and you might consider this somewhat controversial. Here, let's go and show you the new shortcuts first, and then I'll explain what I did. So let's see, what is it? Selection defining multi-selections. So these are the new bindings. They all begin with the control key. And so control num minus does a multi-select undo. Control num plus does multi-select redo. So we have undo and redo happening now. Control num delete will clear the selection, so that's the delete, and control num enter will add. So these all are using the num key. So for folks that don't have that, I have not come up with a default good set of shortcuts for folks with regular keyboards. I'm happy to take suggestions via email, markm, M-A-R-K-M, at devexpress.com if you have some. I've essentially just put this off because coming up with new keyboard bindings is a major headache because there's all sorts of existing things that you have to watch out for. So
yeah, it's very difficult. I mean, there's so many operations out there.
So anyway, these are the 4 that I've created, and for folks who don't have this, I've left it as an exercise to define your own, and we'll see what's going on there. One thing I want to point out is I also added the context, and let's see, here's the redo. Notice the redo, we actually have a context called multi-select redo available. Undo uses multi-select exists. So here we have 2 contexts, multi-select exists and multi-select redo available. The reason I had a second one is I realized is that you can undo all the way to the beginning, which is no selection at all.
Yeah.
Right? At that point, multi-select exists is false. And at that point, we can no longer redo. And so I had to create a new context that said multi-select redo is available. This allows us to roll back the selection all the way to the beginning and then all the way forward again. However, there's one problem with this, and I'll show you. It's been nagging me, and I haven't quite figured out architecturally how to fix it yet. So this will be a we'll fix later kind of problem. I'll show it to you sometime during the session. Remind me if we get to the end if I haven't shown you that. Okay, so those are the shortcut bindings. So, so let's show you the fix. The fix looks like this, and I said it would be somewhat controversial. The reason it's controversial is because I've just marked both of these using Control-Enter. Okay. Really, what's going on is the selection goes like from here to there. It's really using the full block cut range and combining these together and using these is what it's doing. Okay, but it's not showing you that. Okay. And the reason I decided not to is kind of for the same reason. Well, I don't know if it's the same reason, but when you hit cut here, it doesn't just cut from here to there. It actually cuts from there to there, right? It takes the full block range. I guess the reason, what I'm saying is that when you think about marking these members, this is the way you think about them, right? You think, oh, in other words, I think it's a better way to display it. So that's kind of my, that's kind of what's going on there. Here's the undo, control plus, reselects. So if you accidentally get something that you don't want, boom, you can undo it, go backwards. Okay. So, all right, so that is, that's multi-select. Let's talk about that integrated paste. And so we'll close this down. Yeah, so this is pretty cool, right? We have a context that says it exists. We have multi-select services. Let's go look at, by the way, what's inside multi-select services, just so you can see those using IntelliSense all neatly there. Multi-select, so you can add, you pass it in a text view, and that will add adds the current selection in the specified text view to the current multi-select. You've got clear to clear it out. Copy to clipboard, cut to clipboard. You have delete, which will actually delete all the selected items inside of the file. You have from clipboard, which will grab you a new one from the clipboard if it exists. And so, in fact, to tell if it exists or not, you actually call from clipboard and see if it's not null. Okay. So we have those features. Those are the services, and that'll all be in CodeRush.multi-select soon in 11.2. Let's go in and let's add, what I want to do next is I want to add integrated paste. And what I want it to do is I want it to show up on the right-click menu. So on the context menu, right underneath paste, I want to see integrated paste. So that's kind of what I'm going for there. And let's do that. I'll just remove some stuff around on my other screen. Okay, so what we'll do is we will, I guess we can copy one of these and paste it in. Like this. It's going to have some items we'll need to change. And we'll come in and make some changes. So we're going to call this multi-select, the action name will be multi-select integrated paste.
So when you describe a paste operation in the context of multi-select, there's two things that sort of spring to mind. One is the context of when you have a multi-select already copied or cut to the clipboard, and another is that perhaps you don't and you've got your source clipboard information somewhere else. So are we going to be handling both of these, or are these which sort of scenario are we going to look at?
Right now, only from the clipboard. If I heard, I was not entirely listening to everything you were saying, because I was not anticipating a question. So I was like, I thought you were talking to everybody else helping me out, and then I was like,
sorry, man.
You know, I just thought of something, new idea. When you're about to ask me questions, say, Miller, question for you. Or Mark, I got a question. And I'll give you full attention. But I think you were saying we could get a multi-select from somewhere else and paste it in, right?
Well, it's a question of what you're going to paste. Are you pasting a multi-select, or are you pasting just a normal bit of clipboard information? Because you could have either.
Yeah, well, if you recall from last time, we put two things on the clipboard, our multi-select and the regular. So what this is going to do is go find what's on the clipboard, see if it's multi-select. If it is, see if it has members, it's all members, and if it is, then what's going to do is it's going through and it's going to say, okay, I can now intelligently integrate these members into the right places.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
So specifically to handle a multi-select, in this case with members on the clipboard.
Right.
Okay, cool.
Are you thinking anything negative that you're not sharing with us?
No, because, I mean, whilst there might be multiple scenarios, the fact that we can detect the specific one we're hoping to support and apply whatever logic we like is good. And then if there happen to be others, then we can add those as well.
So here's the negative thing that I'm thinking of, and the negative thing I'm thinking of is, well, you know what? You know, you might want to you should just have a feature that just sorts everything and puts things in the right place anyway. So I can, you know, I don't have to just you know, you could almost argue that this
feature... it pastes the pieces into the right places in the class.
Well,
so
I was thinking...
copied a couple of fields, a couple of methods, a couple of properties, and I happen to have areas where those are already being put.
No, what I'm suggesting is there really should be a separate feature that just puts everything where it should go. So I can paste in an integrated, I can just paste in multi-select as one big piece, and then execute a separate function that sorts and puts everything where it belongs. Right? You could easily make the argument that what I'm about to do is probably not the right way to do it. I'm anticipating this argument, in fact, because you know we have people that watch these closely and you know give us awesome critiques in terms of how we should have done it. So I'm anticipating that. That's my preemptive strike on that. In that, yes, I'm aware we should have a separate, you know, full-on feature that says, okay, let's just put everything in the right place. Let's sort the members. Let's sort, you know, put this, everything else. However, I'm going to say, I'm still going to argue that this is somewhat useful in the sense that keeping these contextually together may make sense for moving things from one place to another, from one class to another. And so sorting may not necessarily entirely make sense. Just putting them in the right location is good. But sorting them and integrating them with other fields or members probably is not so good. So I'm going to make that argument. Anyway, paste the members of the multi-select list on the clipboard. That's on the clipboard.
Are we going to behave differently if we detect that there is another multiple selection in play? It might be a bit confusing. So say we add two things to the selection and we copy those to the clipboard, and then we move to another document somewhere, and we naturally add another couple of things to selection, presumably a fresh selection, and now we choose to paste.
Yeah, good question. I don't have a...
Deliberately avoid that at the time?
I've not considered that. Well, I think that, you know, I mean, the multi-select is not really a, you know, that's the other interesting, okay, so let's hold that question for a second. Let's ask a simpler question that's related to that. I have a multi-selection and I hit the delete key. What happens? Because right now what happens is if a change, we look for a change to the code, and if a change occurs, we remove the selection. But we could intercept it and delete, which I think is more along the lines of what people want, I think. Let's consider that, and we may implement it in this session. I have a bitmap out there. There it is right there. There's my multi-select bitmap, or my integrated paste bitmap that I created. And then let's go in and let's... You're not seeing the bitmap right here?
No. Different screen. I've got a what looks like a copy of Studio with copy, cut, and paste methods in plugin CS, plugin 1 CS.
What do you see in the top left of the screen?
I've just got Studio full screen.
Studio full screen. What do you see in the top left? What the heck's going on here? Does it say CR multi-select? Do you see that?
I've got a multi-select CS is the top left document, but it's not the live document. It's maybe the screen or the video has frozen.
I bet it has. All right, let's do this. Oh, you know what? It says show my screen on there. It's been paused. Great. Okay, now I bet you can see it.
Ah, there we go. Designer.
How the heck did that get paused? All right, I apologize for that. Okay, so paste. Did you see me type this in? You probably didn't see me do that either. Paste the numbers and multi-select lists on the clipboard. I copied the member. I gave it a name, multi-select. This is the action name. Give it a meaningful component name, control name, so we can see it there. And I added this bitmap. That's what I just did. So I had the bitmap out there, and I added that. Okay. All right. So okay. So let's. Oh, the other thing I want to do though is I want to take this. This menu, this action, and I want to add it to a menu, and we're going to see that for the first time on how to do that. So for the common menu, what I want to do is come in here and I want to grab the editor context. So I have that menu item right there. In terms of its positioning, I actually want to get it right near the paste menu item. So we're going to have to figure that piece out, add some code to that. Let's go over here and we will double click on the execute and we will add some code in there in terms of what the integrated paste is going to look like. Let's get rid of this and let's do one other thing. We want to get, let's go into here and let's look at our events and let's just see. We have something called context menu. No, it's not context menu. What is it? It's editor context menu showing. We want to double click that. And so in here, that's where we're going to write the code where we're going to see should this thing be visible or not. Okay. So should be visible equals can perform an integrated paste. Like that. Let's declare this. Are you thinking something?
I'm just wondering because doesn't the actions have a similar check availability facility which would take advantage of the same logic, just in case somebody binds it up to a key or a different keystroke that we don't consider?
The check availability. You know, I have a feeling that this, and this, these four events are all related to Visual Studio commands. And I have a feeling that they will not be called unless I come in and I choose register in VS to true. And at which point this becomes a Visual Studio command. Okay?
Interesting.
So I generally don't set that to true because
well, we've got the advantage of the context that we can use as well when we're binding up our actions. So it doesn't always have to be done explicitly in code. You can leave that down to the end user / configuration.
Yeah. So I am going to instead. I'm not going to. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to. The other thing is I need to know where this menu item is, and in prepping for this, one of the things I discovered is this item moves around in terms of its position.
Yeah.
Because of what other things are on here. So each time this displays, we have to go out and find it. So so let's go in here and let's go into CodeRush.source. We'll go into active, and what I want is active class, interface, or struct. These are all types that can accept members. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to say if that is actually not null, if it is equal to null, then what I want to do is I want to return false. Okay. Then I want to come in and I want to go into our CodeRush placeholder, go into the multi-select services, go from clipboard, and let's do that, and then whoops, let's call this multi-select, and then I want to say if that's null, then I also want to return false. Okay, and otherwise I want to say return multi-select dot selections dot count. I want to make sure the count is at least greater than 0, and multi-select dot contains only members.
Okay.
Okay. So, speaking of which, well, I got to remind me to show you the thing that bugs me about contains only members next time we're testing. Okay, and this is, and it also is related to the undo redo. Okay, and so there's still there will still be some work to be done after we're done with this, but still, we're making this more and more useful all the time. So that is can perform integrated paste. That's what that looks like. Okay. And so down here we're going to say, oh, now we have to go in and we have to go grab that editor context menu. We can get to it from CodeRush .menus .bars. And this is like now this bugs the crap out of me. I talked to the devs about this. What I really want is something that says context menu.
Yeah.
That's what I want. And I ranted about this last week. I remember it was not pleasant because it was not intuitive to find. So anyway, this is how you get it. You go to VS common bar, and then you can grab the menus, and this is how you can get it. Okay. What we want is the editor context menu. Okay. We'll declare a new local for that. We'll call that the context menu. And we'll get out of here if that is null, which is unlikely to be null. And then we're going to go in and we're going to say context menu dot find item by action. And then we're going to pass in our ECP multi select. Let's just do this. AAS. Come on, you can't get it from there. Visual Studio. AMS, there it is right there. Okay, IP, there it is right there. That's what we want to pass in. So find item by action you can actually pass in an action that's on your form. If this action stuck itself on a menu, you can then get it. Let's go ahead and declare it local right there, and then we're going to call this the integrated paste item. So by default, this is going to be like at the top or the bottom or something along those lines is what it's going to be. And then we're going to get out of here too, if we're not. Okay, and then we're going to say this dot visible equals should be visible. All right, and then we need to move it. Well, let's go ahead and write that code actually. So let's do this. We want to in the context menu, we have an option to find by command name. Here we can pass in edit.paste, which is the same command you'd see inside of Visual Studio Tools options. Okay.
That's right, yeah. So when you're binding up a normal Visual Studio command, it's that string.
Yeah, and so we can say that is going to be the paste item, and then what we can do is we can say if not null, then we'll say the paste item index is equal to paste item dot index, like that. Else we'll set that to -1. Here's a nice template s-1 sets what's on the clipboard to -1. Let's declare local for that. There it is right there. Why did it put it up so high? That was odd. Okay. All right. Okay, and then we can come down here and we can say if paste item index is greater than or equal to 0, then what we can do is we can come in and say integrated paste item dot move to, and then pass in paste item index +1. To extract that method, put it right up there. Okay. Wait, actually I didn't want to do that. Hold on. Let's go back one more. Let's grab all of that. That's what I wanted to get out. That's more useful. Okay, get paste item index, and then we are going to put these in here. Okay? So that's what that looks like. Get paste item index is there, and now we have that. Okay? So that is the context menu showing. The next piece we have is, okay, let's do that integrated paste. Let's do this. Do we have, instead of breakpoint, let's just test what we wrote. Make sure that that is working as expected. So we're expecting to only see it if there is, let's see what the conditions are. We have a multi-select on the clipboard, and we're inside a class that can accept like an interface or struct. Oh, although, geez, I just realized that copying from a class and trying to paste into an interface is going to actually do a full-on paste, and what we really want to do is like a smarter analysis almost of that, which I'm not going to write today, but we could put in some checks on there with regard to, to see, well, did you copy from a class? Then it's okay. Then you can't paste it in an interface, that kind of thing, I suppose. So let's go in. We will come down here and we'll grab this one, and whoops, I'm going to change it. Hold on. This one, this one, this one, and this one. So those are the three methods we want. Whoops, let's go back. I want to go just the blue, the orange, oops, blue, orange, and that. So we're just getting the pieces that are working with the blue and the orange. I'm going to copy those to the clipboard, and now I'm going to come over here and right-click. What? Oh, I missed something, but there it is. Looks like I forgot.
Well, the item's definitely there. It's in the right place. Even the text isn't there, so that's good.
When I select, there it is, integrated paste. Okay, so it looks like I forgot something. However, everything else is working as we're expecting, so let's take that. Let me show you the problem with undo. Undo works here, and their redo works fine. However, if I create something that removes two other things, like this, okay, so here there's that display bug because I actually created selection and we lost the others. Now when we undo, nothing is happening when I'm hitting undo. So this consolidation thing I've got to fix. I have to fix that with regards to undo. Structurally, the way it's going to work is essentially it involves a tree where a particular item that's a selection can have multiple items that are going to be replacing it when it's undone. So that's how I'm going to fix that, and it's also how I'm going to fix a secondary problem of this, which is, let me clear that, which is when I do this and I add it to the selection, I'm pretty sure that the current selection, let's go find that. Let's go find the add column here, and sort of breakpoint in here. Let's go in and we'll clear it and we'll add it again. When I do this add, let's do this in this so I can see more of the code. It's going to be right down in here, add selection, and so this is some code I wrote since the last time, I believe. This is going through, finding the nodes, and am I going to be smart enough here? Element name, element type is the class. Is that really the type? Oh, because the selection was up near the top. So as a result, what happens is contains all the members gets set to false. It really needs to look at that selection and realize that, you know what, even though this goes like out here and here, it really does qualify as containing only numbers.
Yeah, because on that line 37, exactly where you've got your character position there, it's worth understanding that DXCore will see that as being in the class, not in the private member.
Right, that's what happened.
And
so,
from a usage perspective, that's not really what we want. We want to find the first, or the next node, as it were, from that position onwards.
Right, so the workaround for this, it's not fun, is to do this. Control Enter, whoops, so there's a workaround, Control Enter, down arrow, Control Enter, down arrow, Control Enter. It's kind of sucks. to be honest. It's not quite it's not shipping quality yet. But that's the current workaround. I mean, we still have got something that you can't get anywhere else, right? Multi-select inside of the editor. So that's the positive side. The downside is that you can't just do that and say I want those 3 members. Does not exist yet.
From the immediate left of the first private.
Oh,
you start there instead. Yeah.
I guess we can try that. We can go to set a breakpoint in there and see if that works. Let's see. Add selection. We want to see. Let's see. Let me just get to that. We'll just set a breakpoint in there and we'll go through it. There. All right. So we'll do that. Hit enter, and let's see if that's any better. Step through. Where are we going? We're still in here. It's element type now. Unknown. Why unknown? That's interesting.
That's a bit strange.
Yeah, so it's going to still be, it's still failing, and I'm not sure why.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know why. All right, so okay, so let's clear it and let's close. Let's fix the text problem, and I think that's because we didn't specify the button text on it. I'm pretty sure that what corresponds to the menu name. Okay. There you go. The text for buttons and menu items associated with this action. So we will call this integrated paste. Okay? Yep. All right, so that should fix that menu problem. And then let's go in and let's talk about what we're going to do inside of here. Well, we need to go in and we need to get the active document, the active text document. And we need to create a local for that. And we need to whoops. We need to get out of here like that. By the way, for folks watching me type in INX every time I want to do this, there's also INR, if null then return. INX is actually from before Visual Studio days. CodeRush existed for a product called Delphi like 12 years ago or something like that. And so in Delphi you had exit instead of return. So I've been typing in INX for about 10 years. So okay, so we need that. We need to go into we need to get the active source, the active class interface or struct. We declare a local for that, and we'll call this the active type. And we get out of there if that's null, and then we need to go. Whoops, not in CodeRush, but our CodeRush placeholder dot multi-select dot from clipboard, and let's clear a new local there. Call it multi-select. There's a multi-select object. The clipboard, and we get out here. So I've got, normally you would assume that, if I'm choosing from the menu, all of these would be not known. However, you can invoke a command by name by calling, I could invoke this programmatically by calling coderush.command.execute and pass in that string. Or, what else? I don't think what else. There are other ways as well that you can that I can get here. So this is definitely one of the ways that I can get here.
Sure.
So, or I can have a shortcut binding to it as well.
So
somebody can put a shortcut binding to it and press that shortcut key. We want to make sure we're still good to go. So now I'm going to go in and I'm going to call that method you saw earlier, prepare to generate. Just clear everything out. And the reason I want to do that is because this multi-select might be, conceptually used more than once, and so I want to clear it out before I make any changes to it. And then I want to do something that looks like this. So there's the code to generate. That is going to be equal to, I'm going to call a method called getCode. Doesn't exist yet. And let's pass in the multi-select and the elements that we want to generate, which is going to be, let's say we want to do language element type, not test type dot method. So we'll generate methods first. So we'll call that, we'll do that. And that element type there. And and we'll let's drop a marker. Let's actually come back to this in a minute, and let's just look at the rest of the code here that we want to do. The next thing that we want to do is we want to say, well, if this code to generate is not null, then we want to come down and we want to say we want to create a source point called insertion point and set that equal to, let's have a method here called getInsertionPoint. And the insertion point there, we're going to pass in the active type. And what else do we need? We need the element we're looking for, which is the language element type method. So what it's going to do is it's going to go through and it's going to find where the right place is to insert the methods. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we're going to come down in here. We're going to say active text document dot QInsert. We pass in the insertion point and the code to generate.
Okay.
Okay, and then we're going to go in and we're going to say active text document dot apply QEdits. You've seen that before. We'll call this integrated paste, like that. And I think we're good. This we want to repeat a few times. Let's extract this because we need to do it for method, we need to do it for properties. So let's extract this, put this up here, and let's just call this like a QAdd right here. And let's do this thing called replace all. Call this the element type. This is the element we want to add. And let's promote that to a parameter.
You know, we've got a nice community plugin to do that as one step now. We chain the introduce local and the promote parameter in one step.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Send me a link to that, and I'll pop it up on screen so people can see that.
Okay.
And then we'll come in here and we'll say property. And Roy, is that using the ability to call one refactoring or call multiple refactorings from your code?
I totally stole it from Skorkin.
That is cool. Did you write this?
I wrote this one, but the premise was nicely blogged on Mr. Skorkin's site. So we've got a couple of them. One does it for expressions as well.
And then unknown is going to get us everything else at the end. So that's what that looks like there. So we've got our QAdd. We need our getInsertionPoint call. Let's declare that. And so active element type. And so, all right. Well, let's work on getInsertionPoint. So inside here, I have a I want to create a new element enumerable, and that is going to take in a type, and it's going to allow me to enumerate through the pieces that I'm interested in. Okay. In fact, if you go into like a type, you go in and you type in all, you see all events, all fields. They're essentially returning a new element enumerable. Is what they're doing. Are there any other parameters to that? Is it just those? Is it just those two? Okay, I think it's just those two. All right, so let's declare a new local variable there, and then what I want to do is I want to go through all of the language elements in here. So we'll come in here and we'll say for each language element and elements enumerable do, and essentially what we want to do, I guess when we do this, if we just want to get the top of them, is we can just say return element, dot full block cut range dot top. We could just do that. We're just going to grab the very first one. Mm-hmm. And then if we actually if we get out of here and we're down in here, well, we can say let's return the active type dot block code range. So this is the range code inside the element there, and then we'll say dot top. So we can do that. So we can do that for something very simple, something simple for right now. So there's our call to get insertion point, and then the last thing we have to worry about is the code, and so let's deal with that. So we've got an element type we're passing in. I've got this multi-select enumerator that I built. I think I showed that. Did I show this to you? I think I did.
Sorry, which was that?
Yeah, I did. I showed this to you at the beginning.
Yes, now we saw the enumerator.
I did do that. Okay. So so there's the new multi-select enumerator, and it's going to take in a multi-select and an element type as its constructor. And we'll call this all elements. And this is so I'll move next. We do this. Oh, we're going to come in. Let's reset it. Not sure if I need to reset it. Call reset or not at the beginning. I'm just going to do it just in case. And then now we can deal with all elements.current right there. And I've got that as a partial selection. Then we can say if not null. If partial selection is not null, then we need a result here. We need a result instance on this. Let's use the RA template to get that. And we want to set this equal to string.empty. And then inside here, we want to say result plus equals partial selection text. Just grab its text. And then we want to say partial selection dot generated. There it is equal to true. And so that will prevents this from coming in later when language element type dot unknown is passed. Okay, so this just allows us to bring in anything that has not been generated yet. And okay, I think that's all we need. So let's run it and see if that works.
For those who are interested, I've just thrown two links out to the community plugins I mentioned earlier into the chat room there. One is promote expression to parameter, and the other is declare parameter. One of them is technically a code provider, the other a refactoring, but both provide pretty good, useful functionality whenever you need them. That one's documented a little less, but yeah, there's some examples on that one.
Cool. Cool. All right. So, by the way, one of the things that we've been doing is, let's see here, CodeRush, Visual Studio Gallery. Visual Studio Gallery. There we go. One of the things that we've been doing is we've been putting up. In fact, here, let's go search. Why don't we search? We want to search just the gallery. We've been putting up. Let's go to Tools, and we search. Here we go. Search for CodeRush. And we've been putting up plugins. There's the string formatter. Tab through primitives is there. And so we're putting them up on the gallery. So just so you know, that's where they're going. Secondarily, one of our devs has created a new wizard that we'll be showing sometime in the future that allows us, that we're likely, I'll say we're very likely to be shipping and showing sometime in the future. I changed it to will to likely, so we have no promises here. But that when we go to create a new plugin, creates a V6 wrapper around it, a VSIX wrapper around it, so that we can then put it out on the Visual Studio Gallery, and then install it directly from the gallery. And so that is somewhat exciting. Okay, so let's come back in here again. Let's grab, let's grab down here. We'll grab Blue Brush. You know what I should really do is set some breakpoints so we can step through the code that I wrote, so we can see that. So we get Blue Brush, Orange Brush, and Initialize Brushes. We'll grab those two. Hitting copy, coming up inside of this class. Let's right-click anywhere in the class, and now integrated paste is there. I'll right-click outside the class. Whoa! Why is it still there? Hold on. That we definitely do not want to have happen. Let's see what's going on there. Can't perform integrated paste. Let's see what's going on. All right. I'm outside, and return false. It's setting it to visible as false. Let's see what happens. Is it there? You see it setting it to false. It's still there even though visible is false. All right, let's do something different. Let's see what's going on. Is
this one of those strange WinForms thing where visible returns can you see it, not should it be visible? So when you're debugging through, it's technically not visible, so it says false, even though it would be if the context menu showed up.
I don't know. Maybe it is. Let's set a breakpoint here. Definitely false. Let's see what happens after we set it. It's false, but it still appears. Wait. Let's see if this has any impact on it. Enabled. It says it's now false. Enabled. Run. It's still there.
Is it to do with the fact that we're setting a position? Maybe it sets it to -1 when we make it invisible. And
I bet you're absolutely right. I bet you that's it, Roy. Let's
reverse the order, perhaps. And
I bet we don't need this. Let's get rid of that, and let's just do this. If not, should be visible when returned. Because I think what's happening is we're moving it. I think that's exactly what's happening. Let's run it now. Brilliant. That's exactly what it was, Roy. Okay, good. Okay, so we're there. We can't paste. Here, wait, we're inside a class. Here it should work. Why? Oh, because I disabled it? Is that why? Remember, we ran that once?
Oh, it might have maintained that, yeah.
It should be visible as false. Hold on. What's going on? Step inside here. That's good.
Have you been cutting and pasting, and therefore there's nothing to paste anymore?
Something nothing to paste. My bad. Okay. Hold on. Let's keep going. I think it's
meta-programming. It's great.
I know. I think it's, it is enabled, though. That's awesome. So I don't have to worry about that. Okay, so all right. So let's go back over here. We still got it. So let's copy, and then let's come up here, right-click, integrated paste, available, outside, not. Inside, available, outside, not. Okay, good. Let's now paste. Whoops, wrong one. Doop. Let's integrated paste. Okay, so step through. Active text document, not null, it's good. Active type, it's good. Multi-select is good from the clipboard. Prepare to generate. Let's step inside here. Get the code for the element type. Here's the method. Let's step inside here. All elements, we have multi-select enumerator. We said move next. Partial selection. Okay, so we got one. Element type is a method. Element name is initialize brushes. See? Not bad. Cool.
Not bad at all.
Right? Exciting. Here's the result. There it is right there. You can see the beginning of it. We have that. Is it this button I hit, Rory?
Yep.
There you go. Nice. Okay, so there's our method. This is exciting. Anymore, none. So we just return that one result. Okay? Code to generate is not null. Wait, does get code return? Ooh, it returns empty, not null. This line of code needs to change to s.e. See this? Did you see what I was doing? I initialized this. So, okay. So if the code generates not, now we have to go look at get insertion point. So let's look at this. We need to get a new element enumerable. This is not something I wrote. This is from the core. And this is this low-level thing that we get. The reason I need to use this is because I don't know what the element type is going to be at compile time. I just want to be able to pass anything in. So we get that. We have the enumerable. We go in here. We get, and we're just simply getting the full block cut range of it. So we found something. The only thing I'm not sure about is this. Oh, cool. So we can look at this. The active types block code range starts at 12.3. So that's the top 12.3. Let's just verify that when we're running in the editor. Okay. 12.3, 12, 1, 2, 3. There it is right there.
Yep.
See it? CH3, character 3 on line 12. So good. Also notice what happened. We pasted in blue brush, we pasted blue brush, orange brush, and the initialized brushes method came in right above this one. Okay?
Yeah, that's good.
Not directly above it, but right above it. Because we got the full block
the comment itself
range.
is considered to be part of the method myproc.
Yeah, when you call the full block cut range, it is considered. It doesn't read the text and do natural language processing on it. It simply sees that I've got a method with a comment on front of it. So let's get that in any leading white space. And says so it's actually inserting the right spot. We could change this to go afterwards with not a lot of code changes. Let's undo this actually. Let's fix that so it goes afterwards. So to do that, instead we need something like this. We need instead of breakpoint, I just copied something to clipboard. So that's going to lose this. So let's go get it one more time.
If we didn't want to have dependencies on, or if we were okay with having dependencies on things like link, we could pick first or last from that enumeration.
Right.
And then we could go with it that way. But that gives us problems. We can't directly support Studio 2005, which is always nice for those who are still on there, because it doesn't have that built in because it's part of .NET 3 and 3.5.
Right. Let's do the integrated paste, and through this breakpoint here, through that breakpoint there, and here's where I want to do it. Ooh, I just copied this onto the clipboard. This is going to mess things up or not? No, it won't, because we already got the multi-select off the clipboard. So we're okay. I can mess around. So this last element. So, all right, let's go at element enumerable. Last. So you're saying I can get last here? How do I get last from here?
You may not be able to because you're already running. If you take a, have you got a? Let me think. I enumerable.
Let's just. I'm going to do it the hard way. Is what I'm going to do. So we'll call this last element right here, and we'll set that equal to null. And then what we'll do here is we will say I guess element is equal to element. And then we'll come down here and we'll say if not null, then we are going to do just grab its range dot. That'll get the end of it. And otherwise we do that. So that should get the last piece. So now this goes after everything. Let's run it. And so now we see these pieces coming in after that, and initialized brushes coming in afterwards as well. Although it looks like it needs to go like one more line after that. Let's.
Which range are you getting on the last method? Sorry.
On the last method, I was getting the.
Because I thought the full block cut range would.
Yeah, let's try that and see if see if that works.
Because that would include the carriage return taking it to the next line.
I think you're right. Well, yeah, I was thinking that end range would do it as well, but maybe I'm wrong on that. So let's go back here one more time. We'll get these. We'll go 1, 2, 3. Copy. I also think I want the color to change when I copy it. I want this to somehow change to indicate feedback, or maybe something down here that says multi-select copy to clipboard. So and then come in here and do an integrated, whoops, right click, do an integrated paste. Okay, and now let's try the,
yeah, because I think range is inclusive. It's purely the actual characters involved in the method, which means that last line that the curly brace is on.
let's see if this fixes it, makes it better. It does. Okay.
Sweet.
All right, made me happy, Rory. All right, also these got to be placed in better positions as well. So we just brought over, oh wait, hold on. Boom. Why did this go here instead of after these, right? Blue and orange should have come in after these two. What's going on? Last time was an element. Oh, element enumerable.
Did we change it partway through? Did we execute?
No. The problem is this. The problem is there's a difference between this element and an initialized element. From the standpoint of element enumerable.
Yes.
So what I need to do here is pass in, I need to pass in something different. I need to fix that. That's what I need to do when it's of a particular type. Let's undo this and come back in and do an integrated paste one more time. And I'm not seeing tooltips. I'm not seeing tooltips here. I'm not sure why. So, yeah, I think there's other parameters here. Let me see if I can drill into this and see what these are. Okay, here we go. I can pass in an array of language element types. So let's do, I guess what I want to do is change this as well so I can also pass in an array here. Let's do that.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll finish this up with that. So I'm going to run it, and then we'll close it down. Oops, here we go. Let's run it. Close this down. Let's undo. Now we'll close. Outlook? That's not right. No, not bad. Oops. There, that should work. So now I've got get insertion point. QAdd. Oh, is it going to get me all the way back to here? I was thinking this was going to be useful, but let's do this instead. Sorry, bear with me. And we'll do this. And then I'm going to do variable. Sorry, I'm just kind of, making this up as I go along. All right, so 0 is equal to, we're going to type that variable, and number 2 is equal to an initialized variable. Like that. So we can find either one of those. I think this is going to fix it. Do you understand what's happening, Rory? Is that clear?
Yeah, no. We've got two different types of, two different structures. One is just the declaration of a variable. One is the declaration of the variable which has an initialized value, which is the second one. And our original piece of code was deciding only to look for the first type and to insert everything underneath that, whereas the thing we're inserting may be of the second type. We want to put like things with like things.
Yeah, and the two different types that are essentially the same are a variable and an initialized variable. We differentiate between those two, but for the purposes of this plugin, we don't want to differentiate between the two. We want to treat them both the same way. So let's repeat it again.
An alternative way of doing that is to try casting your object to a base variable, which is actually they both inherit from, and you can do it, and the cast will then yield whether it's either of those two by having a value.
Except for, well, okay, we can't do it here because we're dealing with language element types, and that's what element enumerable means.
Yes. So in those terms, you're right. We have to stick with this.
But the strategy you're talking about, though, in general, is exactly the strategy you would do in a plugin. If you were dealing with, the element you cut back from this, right? And I'll demonstrate that once we stop.
So strictly, we're storing meta information, which is just a language element type, rather than a reference to the language element, which we would need for my structural mechanism.
Right. So if we do initialized variable, we have that type, and we drill into it. You can see it goes from initialized value, which descends from variable. Right. So what Rory was saying is, if you have a reference to one of these objects, you can cast it to the ancestor and then see if it's not null, and then you have a variable, or you can deal with it that way. That's what Rory's suggesting. So what we're doing, though, is we have this language element type enum, and that thing is pretty big. That's what this looks like here. That's the declaration for it.
There's a few of those.
Yeah, there's a few of them. What do we have? We have, holy cow, it's grown since I've last been here.
I love doing a switch statement
goodness.
when I've got something of type language element type.
387 different language element types that we understand.
The odd one or two.
Yeah. So including CSS, we have a lot of support for CSS as well. All right, so those are the different language elements that we support. Okay, so now if we get down into here, we'll run until we get in here. So now we're going to have two types of variable, initialized variable, and bring them in there, and then we'll run. So now there, it adds them after. See that? That was the change we just implemented, and this is now here. So, okay, that's pretty good. About the only other thing I want to do on this that at least we might do now is I was going to say let's create an options page for this so we can actually specify what the color is that shows up when you add a piece to it. Right? When you do this, let's specify what the color, because people might have a dark screen. Some people might want to have this look exactly like the Visual Studio color if you want to, that sort of thing. So I actually intentionally chose a color that was distinct from it, but if you want, you can make it the same. So here we go. Let's go in and undo, and let's get out of here. Roy, do we have any questions, by the way?
Yeah, we just have one question, which was regard to when we were sort of selecting a position to locate stuff. So remember, we started off with a range, and we went to a get full block cut range, I think it was. So the question was, can we format the pasted code in such a way as that there is always empty lines between them? Effectively, that's what it boiled down to. My own take on that, well, I used to have quite a lot of difficulty with that myself. Sometimes you see you don't have these items in place, that there simply isn't blank space and you want to try and introduce it. However, recent versions of CodeRush have now got code cleanup and code formatting, which
it allows you to specify how that stuff is generated anyway. So my own suggestion would be just to paste as we are doing, and then we'd call into the format routines, which would automatically then go and put the white space where you'd said it should be. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I was thinking a similar responses. In terms of formatting, let's let the formatter do it. In terms of organizing, I think it does make sense to have a special organizer for this, because it's not quite the same thing as let's sort all my methods, right? If we're moving things from one location to another, we kind of want them to be close in proximity when we paste them. That's at least that's my take on that. Oh, it reminds me, one other issue I fixed since the last time is we are now sorting, just before we put this on the clipboard, we're sorting all the selections so that they actually appear in chronological line number order in which they appear in the file.
So if you grab line 1, then 10, then 5, they'll appear in the order 1, 5, and then 10.
Right. There's no difference between selecting in any particular order and any other order in terms of the results, as long as you select the same items.
Good.
So I right-clicked on my project. I said new item. I went to the DX core page. I chose options page. I gave it a name, opt multi-select, and now I'm looking at this dialog. It's asking me what category do I want to put this in, and I have editor selections, and the page name is going to be multi-select.
For those who've not seen it before, you can type almost anything you like in that category there, the / character, effectively suggesting nodes in a tree, and it will generate those nodes for you when it comes to show you the options page. So better still, obviously, to pick one that is appropriate that might already exist, but if we haven't got something that quite meets the niche you've got, then by all means feel free to type something else in there.
Right, I could do this, editor / multi-select if I wanted to. You know, whatever, something along those lines. But we already have editor selections, so we'll take that as the category. The page name will be multi-select, like that. Click OK. So there's the options page. I've not did not prep this, so I don't know if I have a color picker out here or not. There it is, the color swatch. So we use the little color swatch. We must be adding references. That's why this is taking so long. And let's put a label on here. And we can maybe add other options here later, but I'm just going to put these two for now. Stick a label on, and let's get our properties up here. And text here is going to be selection color. And it would be great to add a preview, but I'm not going to add a preview right now. So, and if we added a preview, we'd probably use the block highlighter. And we'll call this CLR selection. So that will be that name. Then we're going to come in here and we're going to go into the events of the options page, and there are 3 important events that we want to handle here. Let's see, CodeRush. So we want to handle prepare page. That allows us to prepare the page. We also, we had that feature that we wrote. I forget, does it go from prepare page to the other, or to commit?
Yeah, I believe it goes from load to save, essentially.
Okay, good. So we'll write. So if you're wrong, we'll have to write it twice. So, all right. So we're going to go in here. ea.storage. What is it? Read color.
Yep.
Give it a section, and the section is going to be called multi-select. And then, or maybe we'll call this appearance, because we're already technically on the multi-select page. And the key is going to be selection color, like that. That's going to read a color in. And we're going to set that our color selection dot, is it called color? I think that's it. Equal to that. Then we're going to handle the commit changes, and if Rory is right, oh, come on, I thought we had something here. It's not, it's the other way.
Is it expecting you to have a default value in your initial? Maybe we didn't. Did we handle color? Because we did string and Boolean and things like that.
Maybe you're right about this on the default value. So let's see, what do we have here? In the multi-select, no, multi-select services is where we had this. And one other thing, there are two namespaces inside this project. One namespace, DevExpress CodeRush Core, because I want these things to really exist here later on when we move them. So everything that's going to move into the core has that namespace. Speaking of which, I think I want to change the namespace in my options page to that as well. Let's see if I can get rid of that. And does that mean my
You've got a partial class that will need the same thing.
How do I get out to that code? I forget how I get to that code. I guess I have to go to the
You can tab to next reference if you, well,
oh, right.
Oh, now because you've changed the one you're in.
Okay, let me undo that. Now I'll hit tab to next reference. Oh, come on. Come on, parser, catch up with me. Come on. Yeah, I don't think the parser likes that. I'll just make a couple of changes here, see if the parser likes that. It's not liking at all. Let's do here. Yeah. Okay. Note to the devs. So, Lori, note to devs. Change just typing in something for a new namespace. The parser doesn't like that. If I cut this whole thing in the clipboard and bring it back, I bet the parser will kick in and say, "Oh, come on, parser, help me out here." Still nothing. Okay, definitely.
Do we not have another class somewhere?
No, we do. We should absolutely have it.
Well, it's the designer.cs in the right-hand side there, so that's the
we can also drill into this is what we can do to get into it. There we go.
That's true.
So, all right, so we want to do this. We want to take that, hit escape, and now change it here. Okay, and then that should solve that problem. Okay, multi-select, and then we can come back close these. That was a little bit odd. Okay, so
we're going with default value in hopes that that will allow our previous plugin to work.
Yeah, and the default value I think I put is here. This is the default value I wanted. See if that works, and if it doesn't, it's not working. Maybe it's also possible I uninstalled the plugin too. So at any rate, it doesn't say there's that much effort. Anybody who hasn't seen this probably like screaming like, "What are you doing?" Okay, so let's just see if this was the magic one. No, that doesn't do it either. Maybe I uninstalled it. Right? Okay, so we have those two, and then the other one we want to do is restore default values, restore defaults. If we handle this event, that button that says restore defaults is going to be enabled. This button, default settings, that'll be enabled if we're handling that event. So at this point, we want to say color is equal to that color. All right. Okay. So the only other thing we might do, since we're using this all over the place, is we might put this in another class or make it static and reference this. In fact, maybe I'll do that.
So what I tend to do, unfortunately I don't do it as I go with forethought, but typically I reach this sort of stage and then say, right, well what I want is a dedicated settings object which contains all the, has members for each of the different settings. And then I can instantiate one of those and it'll have a dedicated load and save method. So you won't have to duplicate any of the code when it comes to anywhere else.
Yeah, I will often do that as well. However, I just had this inspiration to do this instead. Default selection color. And set this here, and we're inside the core namespace, and then go into multi-select services and grab it from here. Grab the opt, what's it called, multi-select. There it is, dot default selection color, and
static.
I want to make it static. Exactly. Okay, and so there, and now here, whoops, looks like I changed it without doing a rename. Okay. And well, there we go. Okay, read colors. Okay, and I think that's not quite it. The place where we use it is here.
No.
What are you saying?
I was saying, well, we need to respond to the fact that it has changed within the plugin itself and reload the value.
Right. And so this is the service, and so what I'm going to do, I've got a method called hook events, and these are so here the service is handling text change, document rename. So it's doing things like clearing the selection out if the text is changed. And if the document is renamed, it goes in and here we go. Here's the code for that. It checks. It goes through all the views of the text document that's been renamed, finds a multi-select, and if it is there, it finds its file name and changes it and renames it as well. So everything is, all this nice little handling is taken care of for you. At any rate, in hook events, what I want to do is I want to come in here to event nexus as well. This is this low-level, holder of all these events, and we want to call options changed equals tab, and we want to get rid of that as well in our unhook events, which is down here. There's the unhook. Okay, so there's that. Here's our handler. I think I've got a section for event handlers somewhere down here. Thought I did. Let's see where these are. Document renamed. There it is. There's my event handlers. Okay, and options changed. And so in here we want to say if ea.optionspages.contains, and then we want to space a type of opt multi-select, then we want to say
this is where we want to do our load routine. So we're going to populate our current color variable with the value from,
right.
We're going to read it as we did before,
which
is kind of what I meant before, because when you've got more than, we've only got the one value here that we're going to be loading, so it's just not really a big imposition to rewrite that code. But if you had 10, 15, 30 different pieces, it'd be nice to refactor that back out into a separate object, but here it's just one line.
Yes. So here, by the way, I just blanked out, how do I get to the storage again easily? I forgot. Then I remembered, oh wait, on each options page we have a storage object that gets you to it. Mm-hmm. And so we're going to come down here and call appearance, and then this is going to be the other, what was the other string that we passed in there? Selection color.
The nice thing about that option changed event is that it'll fire for every option page that got changed. So you can listen into the changed events of other option pages that you consider to be vital to your plugin's use. And you can react to those changes by populating or altering your own behavior that way. So you don't just have to listen to contains multi-select. Obviously it makes only really good sense in this case to do that, but if you had a plugin that was interested in coding style, then you could look at the coding style, option page changes, and react to those as well.
And you know what? I've got a different style of color here. I've got a, and I need to get the conversion stuff. I think we've done this before, but I just don't remember. Oh, come on, how do I convert colors? I'm totally forgetting.
Don't we have a from ARGB just as much for each of the different ones?
So drawing is the namespace. I need to kind of find out what is a color? Oh, I think you're right. It's just on color itself, isn't it? Beautiful. And then also from, yeah, I guess we do ARGB. All right, and then so we'll come in here and we'll just feed it one piece at a time. Can I pass in just a color? Oh, it takes an alpha as well.
Well, there's an RGB as well, isn't there? If we want
yeah, I could do RGB. So I guess, yeah, I was thinking, what if somebody wants to do, let's do that one. That should work. Come on, be happy with that. No, from RGB takes one.
that still separates them out. Yeah.
All right. So, oh, and you know, the other one I just realized, yeah, I have to do it anyway. I have to come in and grab each one. So, R, G, and B, because that color that we were seeing was deceptive. It was from that namespace as well, I think. Okay, that should work. Okay, good. that line is longer than I like it to be, but okay, we'll deal with it. All right, sorry about that. That took a long time to get here. But that's what it looks like. Okay? In fact, what I really want to do is pull this out, creating a method that's called setHighlightColor that takes a system drawing, and then we can call that at the right place when the service initializes. So kill this obnoxious line of code here, and then in initialize service, we'll call setHighlightColor, and then pass in opt select dot default. No, not that. Selection color. Okay. All right, it's getting a little bit better. So code is a little bit better. All right. Okay, so let's run it and just verify that that works. Here's our options page. What's our build error? Uh-oh, that's not a good error to get. Oh, is this the problem? Let's change it. Let's just see if that is going to help us at all.
Your partial class will need altering.
I don't think there's a third piece out there, is what I'm saying. But I think it's a namespace conflict issue. Ah. I think it's a namespace issue. Maybe let's see if it'll handle this. Okay. So that does it for us. Compile. No? Shoot. Oh, it's simply an add reference one. I'm sorry. So add reference assembly just controls data. So this is weird. This feels like I should not have it to add this. Add range.
I must say I don't remember having to do that myself either.
There's a button. Oh, it's because I added that one control, that button. That because I added the color control. That's what's going on there. So let's fix this because it looks like this has nothing to do with it. And this, yeah. And then let's go in and we'll add that reference out. And do you remember what it was? Control. Let's get it up so we can see.
It's the utils dot. No, sorry. Yeah, controls
data. All right. DevExpress DX core controls data. Here's this little bit. Let's do a commercial break. What? No sponsors? Come on. Express DX core. Where are you? I really hate this so much. I wish I had the power to change this. Yeah. So next week, we're probably going to do this on Tuesday instead of Wednesday. You're watching this live. Yeah. Here we go. Data. That's it. Now let's see if we can build. By the way, you know, it also pisses me off, excuse my language, folks, but that error message that was here, why the heck can't I just right-click that and say, oh, add it for me? You know, why punish me, right? Why?
It's true. I knew which one was missing, so.
Yeah, why would you do that to me? Whose idea? I just want to go kick some butt. Okay, so all right, and we're running.
So now we have the power to change the color of the selection.
Yeah, that should have gone a lot faster. Okay, object initializer test. Boom, boom, boom. The options change. Ooh, we might want to do a refresh on it. On multi-select services, when the options change, boom. Let's set a breakpoint here because we want to refresh the current page. And let's just see what we have to do to make this work. All right, so let's come in here. Oh, holy cow. Options are never, this should have been called. What? That totally should have been called. I should set a, are we not calling initial? No, we are calling initial.
I don't usually handle the events directly like that, so I tend to have to call my own initialize settings from the plugin initialize plugin routine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so I'm not sure what the equivalent is here.
I actually think that I should, normally the service would be called automatically for me, but because I'm not registering this service with the core, it's probably not being called, and which means all that stuff I was advertising about the hooking of the events and stuff like that, also it's probably not happening. What I want to do is let me shut this down, and I want to set a breakpoint in here. It probably pretty clearly is not being called, but I want to set a breakpoint here to see if we actually indeed hit that breakpoint. And let's do that. So we'll run it. And my sense is that we're probably not. In fact, you know what I should have done instead is I should have just gone to see where we construct this. And oh, here we go. We're calling hook events directly. What I should instead be calling is initialize services. That's what I should be really doing.
Yeah.
So we might have a chance to fix that because this code may not have been hit yet. Okay, so let's add a new selection. Good, code has not been hit yet. Instead we want to call, can we get initialized? We can't get initialized. And why can't we? Because it's protected. And this is probably private too, so we can't do anything in this run to fix it. Oh wait, we can. We can do something in this run, and that is this. We'll fix this. Just for demo purposes only. Okay, run.
So you can't change your scope whilst you're doing edit and continue in C# then?
You cannot. Can you do that in VB?
I'm reasonably sure I can.
Wow, that's hot. I love that. So okay, so we've selected these two. Let's go into options. Let's go into editor, selections, open that up. Multi-select is now there. There's our selection color. There's its default. We can go in and grab blue, hit the default settings button, restore defaults for set of speed, same page, say yes. There it goes back. Let's go back, make it blue again. And then we'll say OK. And so now here's this call to set highlight color. I'm going to just let this go. I'm going to run through it. So nothing's changed as I was expecting. However, now there's the change.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So now all future ones are going to be in this color. Okay. So something at least we give you some basic, there's some basic there in terms of making some changes. Let's go ahead and see if we can fix that other part. I'm curious to see if I can fix it. Let's come in here and say we want it to be red. Click OK. And then, so there's our change. And then what I think we need to do is we need to do something like this. We need CodeRush dot documents dot in all text documents. And then we need to say in the document, we need to get its all views. What is it? Is it text views? There's like an all text views, get text views. There it is, get text views. Okay, so that'll get us all the text views. And then we want to go make a call to inside services to get and pass on the view. Is that going to get us one no matter what? It just calls starts at get object. So cool. So we're going to call get, and there's our multi-select. And for all of this work, I'm hoping that there's a method called refresh or something. Oh, it was the adornments. So it was.
So if the drawing that we're doing on the screen has been done at some level using the adornments logic, can we just invalidate the view and have it redraw?
That's an interesting idea. There's a method on here I think called refresh all adornments. Sorry, not there. I want it on view. What is it? Hold on. Adornment. Come on. Is it on document? Refresh views. We could do that. There's something specifically with adornment that I thought we had the ability to refresh all adornments. Is there an CodeRush object? Adornments.refresh all. There we go. Okay.
Single method, nice and simple.
I thought it was more complex than it was. Okay, that's right. And so now, wait, the refresh all didn't work. Maybe I wrote it in execution. Let's try one more time. DevExpress options. It's now red. Click OK. We get an options page change. Yeah, for adornment set refresh all is not doing what I'm expecting it to do. Yeah, I think we have to. Oh, you know why? I'm sorry. You know why? Because the reason why is because it's refreshing, in fact, but it's still got the old color. Okay, so we have this. Where's our add block highlighter piece?
So the individual partial selections storing their own color.
Yeah, what we need to do is add highlighters there. We call it. We only have it here, so we need to call remove remove.
You need a multi-select method to set all partial colors. Because I can see an interesting situation in the future where you might want to select things for different purposes and give them different colors on purpose. So it might be still valid to hold the color on the partial select.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
But
so what we have to do is so the code I was writing to begin with actually looks like the code that I'm going to need to do. In other words, we need to ultimately get to the multi-select object. Then we're going to need to make a call into it called refresh its views. Then what it's going to have to do is go through, find all of them, remove, and then re-add them with the new color. Because this works a lot like WPF. You give it something that has a color, and then it draws and paints it from that point forward. So for now, what we'll do, let's try this though. If I undo, redo, interesting. Right, so you can almost imagine, right, an undo all, redo all call that could very quickly fix this. Right?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna work on that afterwards, but we will only work on it for a little bit. I'll get this last part fixed, and then I'll pass it up to Rory, and then we'll say, okay, this is our first. We'll call this a beta of this. It still has a couple things that need some cleaning up, but I'm like totally swamped for a few days before I'm able to get back to it. So the undo specifically, we have to fix that, and then the other issue where we have a we have a selection around several items. And yet we're still within the class. Still, we want to be able to say, okay, those are really just members, right? We want to be able to add like that. Okay. And so I'll fix those. Okay. With that, I'm going to say thanks to Amanda for sticking with us. Thanks, Roy, for your help. Do we have any questions before we close it down?
Nothing particular, no. We're just general comments. Nice feature.
All right.
It's good.
And there you go. We will. So thank you to everybody, and Amanda, pass it back to you.
All right, awesome. Thanks, guys. So every week, Mark and Rory build a new feature based on your request, so you have full control over the content in these sessions. And like Mark mentioned, next week we'll be here on Tuesday, not Wednesday, as I think Mark is headed to Tech Ed Australia, and I'm on vacation. So if you've got a feature idea for CodeRush or Visual Studio, submit it to roryb@devexpress.com, or you can also tweet it and include hashtag CodeRush in your suggestion. Also, we have a whole lineup of webinars that are currently posted throughout October. We have amazing guest presenters and, of course, DevExpress product training. You can check them all out at devexpress.com/webinars. Tomorrow, drill down with charts, giving your users more data with charting evangelist Brian Wood. And Friday, ASP.NET show a pop-up warning before session timeout with ASP.NET evangelist Mohul Harry. So if you missed anything from this webinar, or you want to review any previous webinars or check out online product tutorials, you can visit us on the DevExpress channel at tv.devexpress.com. Again, thanks so much to Mark and Rory. Thank you all for joining us, and thanks for choosing DevExpress.
Hey, Amanda, one thing I'm going to say before we shut down for folks still listening, next week we're going to see how to make changes to the properties of references. So we're going to do, that's what we're going to work on next week. So how to change copy local to true or to false, specific version, those kinds of things. We'll be making those changes. We'll show you how to do that next week. Okay? All right. Thanks, everybody, and we'll see you then.